Generally, there are two types of problems that we did where it was applications of vectors. I'm going to work one here that I've written out where I'm adding two forces together. The other version of this problem was typically, an airplane was flying, it had airspeed, and then there was wind blowing. The method is the same in both of these. I've got this first force in this problem where it's saying the magnitude is 20 newtons and the angle is 110 degrees. I've got the second force, the magnitude is 40 newtons, and the angle, the direction, is 340 degrees. What we need to do is add those two vectors together. The problem is that the way the information is presented, doesn't make it easy to add, and so we need to convert these vectors to component form. Which means I want them in x comma y form. And in all instances, x will always be the magnitude times the cosine of the angle, and y will be the magnitude times the sine of the angle. So here, force 1, I'm going to write it, and I'll use sort of brackets instead of parentheses here. It'll be 20 times the cosine of 110 degrees, comma 20 times the sine of 110 degrees. And obviously we'll need a calculator to do that. 20 cosine 110 is negative 6.8. And then 20 sine 110, 18.8. And I'm just going to do a quick check. X is negative, y is positive, and that corresponds with 110 degrees being in the second quadrant. The second force will be 40 times the cosine of 340 degrees, 40 times the sine of 340 degrees. And so that'll be 40 cosine 340, 37.6. And then 40 sine 340, negative 13.7. And again, I'm going to recognize x is positive, y is negative, 340 degrees in the fourth quadrant, and so that checks. And to answer the question, I just need to add these two things together. And now that I have it in component form, the addition is pretty trivial. Because it's just add the x parts together and add the y parts together. So here I'm getting 30.7. And then 5.1. And that would be my final answer. Since it just says find the resultant vector, I can leave my answer in component form. Hypothetically, the problem might say find the magnitude of the resultant vector, in which case I'd have to find the magnitude of that. But that's typically not the types of questions that I ask. I just want you to convert it into component form and then find the sum, and then this will be your final answer.